Dean Brogan in the ruck, started in the ruck in the opening term. Brendan Lade started on the bench for Port Adelaide. And he's up against Matthew Leuenberger with Jamie Charman unable to take his place in the Brisbane Lions lineup tonight.
Simon Blackwell, he's got the corn sandwich.
From the ball up, Leuenberger lays the tackle on Sean Burgoyne.
Kane on the left shoulder and Chad on the right.
Luke Powell looks like he's gone to Sean Burgoyne now.
Jed Adcock desperate to get on to Chad Corn. So they're going 1 for 1.
Lappin. Not necessarily a clearance, although Brennan with the one hand almost got a handball away. Brogan, Salopek, Peter Burgoyne. Pettigrew waited for the bounce, it didn't come. Slaps it out nicely though, Kane Corns. Sean Burgoyne. Adcock steals it back again to Corey. Lions might get the first foray forward. Brennan to Notting. Bradshaw calls for it long, it's shorter to Hooper.
That's it now, Jacob.
Ryan Hooper sees Jonathan Brownlee back to the square.
Move it on. Me.
Told to get on with it.
Play on.
Sherman front spot can't mark. Surgeon dives in.
Ball's out.
Wrapped up. Sherman tries to sneak it out.
Look it clear.
Cassisi dropped it. Knocked out in the tackle. Again knocked out in the tackle. It was knocked back. Can't call that a kick. Salopek dives on it. The umpire forced to sort it out.
Good defence there from the Lions forwards and midfielders, just locking the ball in. A couple of tackles that could almost have been rewarded there.
Do you reckon players are getting the ball knocked out, or are they just dropping it? When they see
a couple of them looked dropped cold, didn't it?
Yeah.
On the shoulder, Brisbane.
Oh, here's a great start for the Lions.
So Wade Mills, who kicked his first goal in AFL football in the opening half and forced to do some ruck work as the late inclusion replacing Jamie Charman. It's the free for that.
A few of them. I think Jonathan Brown was trying to claim it, and then he actually, while Mills was going back, he tapped the umpire on the shoulder and said, I think you missed the free kick to me as well.
Righto, Jason. Well, he tumbled the last goal.
Yeah, this is a soda, this one.
As he helicoptered the last one home, he pops and twists and turns it across the face for a behind, and Dean Brogan lets him know that he didn't deserve it anyway.
Well, they've missed 3 or 4 regulation shots for goal tonight, Brisbane, and you just can't afford to do that at the best of times, let alone when you're 5 or 6 goals down.
As you've mentioned, they're 4-7. If they were 7-4, they'd be back in this game.
Yep.
Chaplin.
Move it on. Play on.
Peter Burgoyne.
And I think that's where the coaching staff tend to feel a bit powerless, because they would sit there and say, look, we're getting the opportunities, we have a chance of being in it, but if we can't kick straight, what more can we do?
Thurston, Salopek, Cassisi. Now Chaplin again. Wide ball. Treadray. Can't trap it. We'll get a ball in. Daniel Merritt in game number 50 for him, doing well. Holmore and Treadray. From the ball in, Leuenberger and Brogan knock it down. Lappin, Black. Kane Corn slides him off it. Cassisi in the Kane Corns direction, gets a Shepherd. Justin Westhoff left it behind. McDonald to Lappin. Kick away. Travelled 4 metres. Adcock. Notting. Power. Gets a Shepherd. Has a bounce. More positive Brisbane Lions side in this second half. Mills had to stretch. McDonald pokes it inside. Sherman. Now the lead comes from Bradshaw. Jonathan Brown's down there, a full forward. And Port Adelaide flood players back.
Notting's the one on his own. He's going to pick him up. He's got him.
So Notting will have a shot, 45-degree angle, 45 metres out.
And right now, Jason, just to, I guess,
Come around too.
give weight to your argument about shots at goal. They're 3-3 from set shots, the Brisbane Lions, and they haven't had tough set shots. In fact, the ones that they've kicked have been the hard ones.
Why would Tim Notting short pass to a contest when he can kick the ball 60 metres and he's 45 out?
Those and many questions to be answered post-match by the Brisbane Lions, you would think.
That's what makes coaching such a fun game. Playing the mysteries of the mind.
Not out of this yet, but slowly playing their way out of it. Big pack around this ball up. Brogan, perfect. Copybook tap down to Sean Burgoyne.
Great takeaway.
Chad Corns. Nice handball to Boak. Released him. Kane Corns. Runners through the middle again. Peter Burgoyne looks up. He's got Ebert out in front. Hands not quite there, but gets the free for having them slapped. Tom Begley's done a good job on Ebert tonight.
Let's just have a look at that handball there from Peter Burgoyne. That was clearly a throw. But this is a potential for Brett Ebert to start his season. He's been really struggling for possession. And he's worked hard tonight without getting too much of the footy. He's been starved of opportunities to a degree. Plays a role where he's often opening up space, but he needs to get one on the board.
Port Adelaide's #1 goal kicker last year. Hoping to come back into form this year.
Well, it's at least a 2-goal turnaround. We saw Mills miss an easy one at the other end for Brisbane. Then Tim Notting, instead of having a shot, went for a short pass that created a turnover. And then the first time they go down the other end, a pinpoint pass. Ebert takes the mark, who in effect was paid the free kick for the arms being chopped, and he finishes from right on 50. It's just been a different skill level between the two sides tonight.
Kicked 56 goals, 28 to be Port's leading goal kicker last year, Brett Ebert.
Let's just have another look at this handball. Do you reckon under pressure, Port Adelaide are almost just dropping the ball?
That looks like that's a throw. That is a dead set throw.
Times. Well, that was a throw. I reckon we've seen it a few times in these contests in this quarter. Well, maybe they're just trying to keep the ball in their power or within their grasp.
Certainly hasn't affected the scoreboard in terms of over-favouring one side, but they've been on the stiff end of a couple of decisions, Brisbane, tonight. I mean, it's not going to make a difference to the contest because Port are well on top, but it just makes it worse when you're struggling.
Chad Corns with the one hand. Ebert after behind. Little toe poke was good by Sherman. He's got power out wide, needs to hit him. Does.
Stay there, Chad, stay there, play on!
Back inboard to Leuenberger, who called in Simon Black.
Come out, play on!
Tough one for Corrie.
Play on!
Roden with the fist knocks it down. Patfull, well crumbed. Adcock slips the pass to Brown. It wasn't 15. Helipate Carlisle hacks it off the deck to Westhoff. Tries to shrug the tackle, but a handball out. Roden, Kane Corns, Carlisle, Ebert. Tredray short, Ebert hits him.
Good kick, great mark, toughest mark in the game to take those ones out in front, flat out in front of the eyes.
That's your angle, Warren. This is the mark.
9 possessions for Warren Tredray, 1 goal, 1 to this point in time. Daniel Merritt right there, but just couldn't get a fist on the ball.
Right on it, Daniel, nothing more.
He looks pretty comfortable at the moment, Tredray, when he's running flat out in a straight line. It's when he has to stop and turn, it looks as if he's still got some room to improve.
And his goal kicking spot on tonight. He's got 2.
It's almost a case of looking for something different to say for a change, but it's just highlighted every time Port get the ball. They're good enough to hit targets, given a generous amount of time to get rid of that one, Justin Westhoff. But then have a look. There's plenty of numbers back for Brisbane in the zone, but the Port players lead into space, a pinpoint pass and good hands. Nothing Merritt could do about that. Unfortunate at the other end, missed targets and fumbles are costing them.
Second goal for Warren Tredray. Did play 20 games last year and kicked 31 goals, but looked to be playing those 20 games at about 80%. Knee problems, not internal there, to do with his kneecap. Black slips it to Lappin. Notting it was, in fact, gave it to Hooper. Back to Black. Kicks on the left. Shades of Amy Winehouse. Kicks the goal.
Well, that's vintage Simon Black. Superb first possession from the centre of the ground. Followed it up, got it back, and delivered a critical blow. There he is, this time following Chad Corns, exposing Corns because he missed his opportunity for possession. Keeps running on the back of a handball. 3 more of those and we've got a game. Jason.
9 kicks, 8 handballs, Simon Black. 77-37. Brogan and Leuenberger in the ruck. Cassisi dragged down, good tackle. Black calling for the free. Doesn't get it. We'll get a ball up.
Well, I think he'd be really pleased with the tackling intensity, Lee Matthews. Statistically, it's 12-2 in this term.
Thank you.
But it's what they're doing with the footy, as you pointed out a number of times, Jason, that's let them down.
Again, Leuenberger shouldering the load in the absence of Jamie Charman. Beaten for it by Brogan, but Sherman with the clearance. Brennan. Got a spark at the moment, the Lions. Corrie to Lappin. Sidesteps a couple, no one to go too long. Short to Riscatelli. And now the lead. High bomb. Hoping for Bradshaw, can't get there. Thurston's can.
Well, they've got the tools down there, but you've got to still kick it to their advantage. In fact, what Brisbane did there was spread really well across the ground, but they didn't use the spread. Just the long bomb.
Salopek, Corns, Surgeon, Kane Corns. Wrapped up by Hooper. Brilliant tackle, not rewarded again.
Had to be a free, didn't it, Dwight?
As you mentioned, Jared, they're not paying the frees when the ball knocked out in the tackle. If, in fact, it's knocked out and not just dropped. Leuenberger can't get there. We'll get a ball in. You must reward the tackler in that instance.
Well, he had an opportunity, so he's lost prior opportunity.
No. Must reward the tackler. Back into play. Leuenberger with a slap down. Cassisi half tripped. Pokes it to the midfield. Travis Johnston. Daniel Pearce. Travis Johnston needs to hit a target with this kick. Makes it tough for Corrie. Bounces it to him. Corrie's handball even worse. Colin Begley. Midfield, Travis Johnston. Out of the frying pan into the fire for him. Left Melbourne over the summer. Looked like a good move, but Brisbane Lions struggling at the moment. And now the kick wide to Lappin.
Probably happier at Brisbane than Melbourne, though, having said that, Dwayne.
Yeah. Leuenberger.
That's just unfair. That handball was a shocker. It'd be like for a golfer to be like hitting it into the trees, losing a ball.
Travis Johnston spears it inside 50 to Riscatelli, and they're slowly playing their way back, the Brisbane Lions.
He just has to go back and kick this. If he didn't mark it, Daniel Bradshaw was about 4 metres clear of Thurston's and would have. You see Luke Power coming off for a spell. That's the sort of kick they need from Travis Johnston, Jared.
Well, he's had 3 kicks in the last 3 minutes. He's just cruising along as part of that zone across half back, and if he's left to penetrate, he could be dangerous in this next part of the quarter.
First shot at goal for Michael Riscatelli, and he has edged it through. They're back.
And Simon Black straight over to Travis Johnson. Gave him the old clip on the shoulder.
Would like to see a few more of those.
Ruffled the hair. Often that suggests that maybe he's had a bit of a chat to the coach at half-time when players are trying to lift him.
He might have got a burst.
Well, he'd only had 6 possessions in the first half, so that wouldn't be surprising if he did get a bit of a cook, but he's lifted in this term and he's playing quite well.
7 kicks, 5 handballs for Michael Riscatelli. And the Lions have a sniff.
I reckon Lee Matthews would be happy also with Justin Sherman. He's kept Roden to 2 possessions in this third quarter. We're halfway through it. He's picked up 3 himself.
Leuenberger with the palm down, but not the clearance for the Lions. Umpire will sort it out.
And you can just see him in the periphery of the contest. Sherman is all over Roden. He is shadowing him everywhere. This is the heavy tag that needed to be done after Roden ran riot in the first half.
Leuenberger again, knocking it down. Chad Corns. Pearce, back to Chad. Ball knocked away from Cassisi by Johnston, who now lays the tackle. Umpire told him to knock it out. He doesn't. Free kick, Travis Johnston.
Having a good 10 minutes. He's against Salopek. He's on a quality player.
Tough kick for Corrie to mark again, but notting Mike Crum. Jonathan Brown almost got in his way and thumped it out to Port Adelaide's advantage. Little kick by Stewart to half forward. Only man that can get there, Burgoyne, and he gets there. He made the effort to make the run. Didn't know if it would pay off, and Sean Burgoyne almost to Westhoff, marked by Merritt, front spot.
Good strength, Daniel Merritt. Justin Westhoff just tried to edge him under the ball, but Merritt did not get moved 1 inch. Terrific strength.
McDonald from half back with a Shepherd. Kick towards Jonathan Brown, dives and marks.
A great mark, great effort. just got to be careful here, Port Adelaide. They're off the boil a little bit in this term, and Brisbane are on the boil. And they just may leave enough room for Brisbane to sneak back in with a sneaky chance.
Adcock, Mills calls for it long. Chaplin backing back into him, gets the fist away. Pocket, nodding with 2 to beat, beats them both.
Got into target.
Thinks about having a shot, and not the best of all possible options.
He could have gone back to Daniel Bradshaw. But again, another opportunity. They're creating numerous opportunities, Brisbane. They went the Malachi crunch, then the Port players, and missed him. Both knocked each other over.
Carlisle, no, you're a Happy Days fan, but anyway.
Absolutely.
Carlisle wrapped up by Brennan.
No fry, immediately tackled.
Just explain the Malachi crunch for our younger viewers, if you can, please, Jason.
That was at the Demolition Derby, where they would get one car in the middle and they'd both come from each side and just sandwich them in the middle. The 2 Port players tried to do that to Notting, but he just pulled back and stepped out of the way.
He was the Fonz.
Yes.
Corrie knocked away from him, ball out of play.
Didn't finish like the Fonz, though.
Justin Westhoff having a rest. Peter Burgoyne as well. Port Adelaide, Daniel Pearce started on the pine. Brogan slaps it down, but in the Adcock direction. Can't keep it alive. Bit of ball in.
Well, right now, I reckon we're in the equivalent of junk time, where we're not quite sure whether Brisbane are going to turn this game into a late charge or whether Port Adelaide are just sitting there having their downtime and ready to blow them away.
Kick 1 or 2 goals and put it to bed.
Speaking of blow away, Roden's blown them away tonight. That was possession 23. Warren Treadray with a bomb in the Lade direction, makes the contest. Takes a couple down with him. Lappin needs to drag this through for a behind.
How good was Lockie Henderson going back with the fly to the ball and getting a fist to it to affect the spoil? Terrific courage.
Thought it was Merritt for Lockie Henderson even more because he's just a young kid. Oh, there's Merritt in the front. You're spot on, Jason.
That is brilliant from a young bloke. And he wore the bump in the middle of the back.
McDonald. 2 a 2-on-1. Patfull. In fact, it's a 3-on-2. And Port Adelaide with the 3. Hand up to Salopek from Boak. Gives it off to Surgeon from 48. Nails it.
He's growing rapidly as a player, Thurston. Last week, one of their best for Port Adelaide, particularly early in the piece. And off that half-back line or full-back line, depending on where he is, he will run forward. And this time he runs forward and gets a reward. Big goal. And he enjoyed it.
Jacob Surgeon, whose 50th game last week against the Crows was one of the best of his career, and he gets his first goal of 2008. From the ball up, Lade, back slap, Salopek to Boak. Little hand off, but no prior opportunity as Brennan lays the tackle. Brisbane free kick. Adcock. Travis Johnston. Lead comes from Bradshaw. It's in his direction. Gets it on the bounce. Wade Mills pops it up in the air, might mark his own kick. You heard the call of play on. Johnston gets on the end of this. Can he finish? Yet to kick a goal for the Lions. Kicks across the face. Brown!
Oh, brilliant.
Read that. Saw it come over his head.
Well, I don't think that was one of Travis Johnston's better kicks. He went for the massive banana, tried to kick the special goal. Jonathan Brown thought it was going to the far point post and it actually dropped on him, but he just kept looking back over the shoulder and tracked the ball.
Well, if anyone can get the Brisbane Lions back into it, it's Jonathan Brown, the Coleman medalist from last year. Kicks the goal, keeps them alive.
They continue just to stay at that nagging distance where if they can get a couple, 2 or 3 in a row, they're right back in it, Jared. But every time they do, Port Adelaide seem to have an answer.
This is just magic. He was the one that kept his eye on the ball the longest. And judgment was superb.
Two goals, one for Jonathan Brown. On the boundary line, Rowan Smith.
Oh, isn't it? It's just great to see. Chad Corns has just gone back into the middle, but when he goes forward, he always has an influence. A lot of midfielders these days play in the midfield and then come off and have a rest, but when he goes forward, he just has a real influence on the game.
Margin was 35 points at half-time. It's now 34. Roden, possession 24 to Motlop. Waste no time. Two Port Adelaide players in the middle calling for it. Salopek from 45. He's becoming one of the best players in the midfield in the competition.
And unfortunately, that's been the nature of the contest. Whenever Brisbane have tried to create some sort of hope of momentum to get back into the game, Port Adelaide have answered very, very quickly. Terrific square up from Motlop. They could have raffled it. There are a couple of Port players there queuing up for it, but in the end, it was Stephen Salopek. A few nervous looks at the ball as it headed towards that right goalpost, but it snuck in at the last moment. It was just the answer they needed to open up that 40-point break again.
We were talking about drafts earlier, gentlemen, and Stephen Salopek could yet become the best player ever from the 2002 draft. He was picked 6. Goddard was 1, Wells 2, and Jared Brennan 3. He's up there with those. Hooper to Corrie. Court. Kick dribbles towards Alapate Carlisle.
It was Roden with that smother.
It was Roden. I think he's got the votes.
Chad Corns, Chaplin, Peter Burgoyne, Kane Corns. Take your pick. Brendan Lade. Paul Stewart. Clever handball. He ran onto that. Kicks it in the Motlop direction. Hands are good tonight.
He's really troubled, Padfield.
Again, the centering kick. This time to Travis Boak. Can't get there to mark it. Adcock with him. Boak pokes Surgeon.
Just on kids like Travis Boak, who's a bit younger than Stephen Salopek, I think both will be hoping and I reckon justifiably entertaining the thought that when Kevin Sheedy and Mark Thompson announced their squad of 40 for the Victorian side to take on the All-Stars, I think it's in about 2 weeks, they may well be given an opportunity to at least train with the big V, if not play.
Simon Black, that's your limit, mate.
As Travis Boak is essentially the highest draft choice Port Adelaide's ever had at pick 5 in 2006. He's growing as a player, and Jacob Surgeon doing likewise.
Good play.
Well, that makes life very tough now for Brisbane. He hasn't got amongst the goals tonight, but Daniel Motlop has been an important player.
Yeah.
He's led up strongly. He's marked the ball beautifully out in front of him against his opponent, Joel Patfull, and he squared it up a couple of times. That one didn't quite hit the target, but in the space of a couple of minutes, he's basically contributed 2 goals without actually kicking them himself.
Jacob Surgeon not selected by any team in the 2003 draft, but picked up pre-season by Port Adelaide before the 2004 season. From the ball up, 15-6 plays 7-8. Get a secondary ball up.
Nearly had 100 more possessions, Port Adelaide, 305 to 210, an extra 95 possessions. And that's a lot of football.
Lade, back slap. Power towards Johnston. David Roden. Not a possession, but a decisive hand. Pearce. Corns. Left it behind, almost deliberately, Chad. Kick not so good. Behind. $97 to 50. Biggest lead of the game. 47 points.
Daniel, stay on the 5 metres. Stay the 5 metres out. Thank you.
Daniel Motlop, who gave away a couple of 50-metre penalties last week, coming off the mark as Patfull kicks a long bomb in hope, hoping for Riscatelli, who slapped it back nicely, but straight to Pettigrew. Dives over it. Simon Black, shuffle it out to Power. Adcock runs onto it. Might go the whole journey. Looked up, wanted to give off, gets the kick, and it's shepherded through. Every time you think they're gone, they get one.
He's tried hard, Jed Adcock. He's only had the 11 possessions, but now gets a goal on the board. Unfortunately, like a lot of his teammates, Hasn't got as many possessions as he would normally get as we head towards three-quarter time, but he waited up. He tried to draw the defender and then hand pass over the top, but the defender wouldn't leave his opponent, so in the end he had to kick it himself, and he did a very, very good job. Been a big improver in the midfield for Brisbane, Jed Adcock.
Meeting of the minds in the middle. Jed Adcock kicking the goal, and Leuenberger in the ruck with him, as well as Lappin and Simon Black for this clearance. Cassisi, Sean Burgoyne, Kane Corns and Brendan Lade in the middle for the ball up for Port Adelaide. Lade down to Cassisi, to Kane Corns, left to behind. Adcock again to Leuenberger. McDonald.
I reckon he deserves a rap, Leuenberger.
Black.
He's worked pretty hard.
Lappin.
Throughout.
Centering kick, tough one to mark. Salopek gets back with the flight. Was knocked out a couple of times last year, doing exactly that. Doesn't mind body on the line. Chaplin to Pearce. Peter Burgoyne. Salopek. Loops the handball to Boak. Thurstons. Spun out of trouble. Pettigrew. Caught. Poke. They still run it.
Numbers running from behind for Port.
Salopek to Modlock. Tries to manufacture something spectacular. Ebert. Centering kick not so good. Riscatelli stands under it and takes the mark.
Just back away from the comment.
Selwood.
The idea was right. It was just the execution.
Jared Brennan. Oh, spectacular. Not so good now, although the slide
Clever.
meant that he was free, and he kicks to Bradshaw.
He was desperate to play on because he saw Daniel Bradshaw push back into space. Almost got cornered, but good enough to get up quickly, Brennan, and chip the ball over.
Took 1 goal 3 tonight, Daniel Bradshaw. Normally a very accurate kick, and he's back as well. 3 minutes from three-quarter time. Brisbane Lions won't go away.
And on the boundary line, you tipped this at the start of the program, Smithy, but the rain has started to tumble.
Yeah, it certainly has, Jared. And just as we said, it started off at the start of this third quarter, just very light drizzle, but it's just starting to get a little bit heavy now.
Lucky you're not still up on that roof, Jason.
Chad Corns back onto the ground for Port Adelaide, straight into the centre square. They probably need to kick another one in the last 3 minutes to get themselves inside the 5-goal margin.
Guys, just the ruck in. Thanks. Take it.
Daniel Bradshaw's second goal, 97 to 62 in the rain. As if it wasn't hard enough for the Lions. The bounce. Brogan against Leuenberger.
Look it out. Play on.
Black to Adcock. Johnston. Lead comes from Jonathan Brown. It's ignored. And now it's a wobbler forward. Tough, almost impossible to mark. Carlisle. Hamill misses the target to Lappin for 2 goals in a minute, and he's missed.
Ooh, golden opportunity again. I was about to say the rain mightn't necessarily affect Brisbane too much. They've been a little bit scrappy tonight, whereas Port Adelaide have been clinical with their skills. Perhaps it's going to make life tougher for them to continue at the same level.
Laid to Salopek.
Jared, 2 more metres.
He's had a good quarter, Salopek. He's
Jared again, 2 more
not sure if he's still on
metres.
Travis Johnson. They started against each other on the wing, but he looks as if he's gone into more of a midfield role.
22 possessions now for Stephen Salopek. This is Peter Burgoyne. And now Tredray forced to fly Merritt's fist wins out again, as it so often does. And we'll get a ball in on the wing. 2 minutes and change to three-quarter time.
Get him up, guys. Don't hold on.
From the ball in, Leuenberger can't win the tap this time. Boak poked it out. Hooper, shuffle. Black, Stiller, Notting over Jonathan Brown's head, or at least past him, and Lade mops it up. Kick not so good. Well played, Stewart, put his body on the line.
Stay there.
Well, Stewart, just his 4th game.
Well, it's coming down now. It's
Play
pouring.
on.
Well, Stewart's played every game this year after spending last year recovering from big-time shoulder surgery. Too high on Selwood. Free kick. Merritt. Stiller.
Oh, she's bucketing there.
It is. And he bombs it. Mark that. Jonathan Brown gets back, so too Pettigrew. Travis Johnson in the hail. It'll snow shortly. Short to Hooper, and he marks the slippery ball.
That is a serious storm now. But if he kicks this, they get inside 5 goals. They need to be inside the 30-point mark to give themselves a chance of running over the top of Port Adelaide in the last quarter.
Around 2 metres. Thank you.
Been a tough night for Rowan Hooper, just the 4 possessions.
Well, for those 18-year-olds that actually haven't seen this phenomena before, that's actually called rain.
Yes, but for those 18-year-olds at home, we'll be shutting the roof here shortly, and it'll be fine. Hooper holds up in the rain.
Disappointing.
I thought he did a good job to be able to get it to the boot.
No, they've kicked themselves out of it, out of the potential of really pushing Port Adelaide to the wire tonight.
We're going to get those white jumpers dirty.
It's something that we see so rarely these days. Conditions are normally so good.
Pettigrew.
This is Brisbane like rain.
Brendan Lade.
Let's just hope all the catchment areas are just sucking it up.
See that young kid, he's never seen it before. He was jumping up and down.
Peter Burgoyne just mopping up the seconds here. Rowan Smith's not out in it. He's nice and cosy.
He's got his own TV down there.
Thank God for the dugouts here at Amy Stadium, boys.
Well, you're going to have to go out at 3/4 time and hear what the coaches have to say, Rowan.
Yeah, we'll do that, Dwayne.
Brendan Lade marks on the siren. It's 3/4 time here at Amy Stadium. It's been a tough evening at the office for the Brisbane Lions. No Jamie Charman coming in, a late withdrawal. Matthew Leuenberg has done a very good job against arguably the best ruck combination in the AFL, Brogan and Lade. But it's Port Adelaide at the last change, 15-7-97 to Brisbane, 9-10-64.